Hey everybody, welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate the Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
And I'm Chris Radtke from StarWarsCity.fun. .fun. Yeah. .fun.
Goal.
Well, thanks for joining the .fun again today, Chris.
Hey, man.
We are glad to have you back for minute 22 of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. 22. Mike Bossy. 22 starts with Rey. Rey is climbing the mountain. Why is she climbing a mountain? And it ends with Luke Skywalker getting the hook. So.
Oh my God! This is the best minute!
This is the reason why you wanted this week.
This is
specifically
it!
For this minute.
Oh my God. So this is, if you want to say, if you took all of the Star Wars minutes, put them in a bowl, and you said, just jumble them up together, and what are the top two Star Wars minutes? And it's ironic that a original trilogy guy like myself, the best scene, the minute in Star Wars is the Darth Plagueis minute. There is no better minute than that. That is the top of the mountain. And then the number 2 Star Wars minute is Luke Skywalker drinking milk, part 2. It is the best. It is so good. There's so much and yes, I like the weirdos, but like the reasons why those minutes are the best minutes in Star Wars is because so much character development happens in those 2 minutes that for those characters, almost like a full movie's worth of character development happens in those minutes for Palpatine and for old man Luke.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I'm so excited.
Good stuff. Well, the cow in question. It's the Thala Sea Siren.
The Thala Sea Sirens.
Thala Sea Sirens, and this particular one, the lady Thala Sea Sirens.
What's no lady?
Is a sea sow.
Thala
Sea Siren. This one's a sea
Siren sow. It's a Thala Sea Siren sow. Skywalker's Thala Sea Siren sow.
Skywalker saw Thala Sea Siren sow.
Nice.
Sow.
Oh my God. It was it's so good. And he's kind of like, and the best is like, he's like, all right, so first of all, what was the conversation before this? Was Luke like, are you hungry? Well, it's time to eat. Or like, how did he get her being like, and she's like, oh, I'm famished. What can I do? And he's like, and she's like thinking like, oh, they must be like some berries I'm going to go and eat. And he's like, you hungry? Come on. I know the best spot for breakfast.
Well, no, he's intentionally, I think he's basically he's not really talking to her. And again, this is, in the novelization, it's like Rey gets excited every time Luke addresses her directly, which is few and far between at this point because he's just straight up ignoring her.
He's straight ignoring that you're here. You're like,
he was like, go away, and then didn't really say anything. But I think he's showing off. Again, this is all more about Luke being the center of attention. He's like, all right, you're going to stick around? Let me just do all the craziest, weirdest stuff and be like, see? Like, well, and then it leads up into the look that he gives her of like, see, this is my life. This is what I do.
He's trying to freak her out.
Yeah, it's so great. Oh, my God.
He'd never tasted that milk before that. It's the first time he'd ever done that in his entire life, I bet.
Right.
He's like, I'm losing her.
Just
I gotta do something to shock her.
So that night, he's sitting in his hut. He's like, what can I do to shock her? Oh, I know. I've always wondered what Thala Sea Siren sow milk is like.
I know. I'll get that big puppet that Steve's got. I'll put him in there and we'll attach it to the side of the cliff.
It's so good. So he's like, come on, let's go get something to eat. And they go off to the crags. And
Off to the crags with you.
And the best is the look of delight on her face, being like, oh, like she smiles. She's like, what charming, waterfowl. And
like he's a good Jedi. He's gonna be nice to the animals, and he milks one.
Well, plus this is Star Wars. Do you know that's an animal, or can that just feel like a naked alien sitting there? Like if that thing turned to you and was like, "Hello," you shouldn't be surprised.
Totally.
Are you thirsty? Do you need a protein fix?
Yes. Can I help you?
Could buy a lady dinner first.
What are you staring at,
Flintstones. Yeah, it's like a Flintstones gag.
It's a living.
Yeah.
Here you go. Oh my goodness! And I love that. And I love that he's got a sports bottle. Yeah. So he's just like, I love the juxtaposition of like future tech, and then he's like, and he's milking that thing, and he's like, and see the thing about now, like the gross out factor. There is, he was thinking, do I bring the water bottle? I just got to shoot him in, and I think.
He probably tried it, and it was all over the place. He's like, this is no good. I need a bottle.
It's in my beard, and I can smell it all day.
Yeah. I think in my mind, I think he does that. I think like when I think about that moment, to me, it's he might as well be squirting it right out. I think that's what makes it.
And it's in slow motion.
Oh,
and it's so like Freddy got
all over.
Freddy
his
got
face.
Fingers.
Ray, would you like some?
Did you ever see that movie? Freddy got fingered.
It's amazing.
Oh no. I have not.
Backward dance.
Tom Green milks a horse in it, and it's
So yeah, this goes back. This hits like this is the punch in the face. Up until that time, he tosses the lightsaber over. Oh, that's the nervous laugh. Like Luke Skywalker just did that. Then it goes into. I'm not going to do anything. No, it's laser swords, right? So he's insane. He just call it laser swords. And then it gets to this. And it's like, this is that turning point. This is that point where everyone who is watching this movie is like, there's no turning. Like, yes, Luke Skywalker is a crazy old hermit. He's that damn fool wizard. He has become
a crazy old man.
It's a crazy old. Thank you for the line. He is like that is the best way they could have went. That is so interesting. That is so absolutely like it makes you think. You know what? There's like the tone poem has just gone on and on and on and on. It's the same thing over and this like literally just breaks the tone poem. Or does it? Because it does tie into Herbert, Obi-Wan, and Herbert Yoda. Herbert. Luke, he's a Herbert. But it winds up...
You're
like,
one of those Herbert.
Herbert.
He's a Herbert. He's crazed. He's like, this is like, nobody who is okay does that. Like, that's it. Like, even like the most self-sufficient farmer who's out, like, who's like, like I've cracked the codes of life and it's all sustainable living and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like that person doesn't do what Luke just did, which is milk a Thala Siren. It's all over my face. I mean, no, anyone who does that has got some real trauma that they're dealing with, man.
Well, or he's just trying to be as weird as possible. Well, again, that doesn't necessarily not.
I think it's both
that he's got
things.
trauma, but he's doing it. It's definitely performance for her sake, but it's definitely rooted in absolutely like why.
Right,
why
like Alice Cooper biting the head off a bat, basically.
No. It's more like Penn Station waiting room at 3:30 in the morning because you missed the 1:00 train.
Oh,
and
there you see Alice Cooper biting the head off a bat.
Right, and it's a guy who definitely has the trauma and who's definitely has got some real problems. But he also knows the audience is really susceptible to, like, so there's the, dialing it up, right? So it is, like, Luke is suffering. This isn't just Luke being like, what can I do to freak her out? It's Luke is a broken old man, and but he still has enough wits to know that, like, I'm just going to lean into this a little bit to get her out of my hair. And
right. Yeah.
That's what that is. In my humble opinion. I mean, I remember seeing this in the theater and just like, this was the thing that I was like, oh my God. Like at that point I was like, I'm all completely invested in wherever this goes. It was incredible.
Speaking of investments, those puppets were not a low investment. They had to. This is an example of what I think of Rian Johnson almost just having like these things are on screen for like 15 seconds in the entire movie. They had to fly these giant puppets. They had to pick them up by helicopter to move them up to the top of this stupid mountain. And there's 2 puppeteers inside and 5 other puppeteers operating it from the outside to do like the eyeballs and the.
You're saying the investment of financial and human capital did not yield the results with this scene. I would say they didn't spend enough.
Come on, it's the best scene in Star Wars.
It's the second best scene in all of Star Wars. You know what? They got off cheap. Like that's what this would never have worked if it wasn't if they didn't fly.
So you would have known the difference if there had been 2 puppeteers inside versus if there had been 1 puppeteer inside.
It just probably would. There's something, the intangibles. There's something there that wouldn't have happened. Right?
Well, I'm not in the sense that it's not like the movie costs more for me to see. So in one sense, I'm like, who cares? But it seems almost like a pathological obsession with practical effects that they're like, I don't care if this thing costs $10,000 to. Well, did you watch any of the making of stuff on the? They built like this whole. They built enormous sets that were just kind of like one shot. And I mean, considering what a low budget affair the original Star Wars was, it's just really funny.
I'm okay with it. I think you know what? Let's put it this way. Let's put this spin on it. They spent a lot of money on this film. They're spending a lot of money on all these things, and it's all learning, right? Because it's if you follow the linear path of how these Star Wars assets, let's call them, are being made. Now you got the freaking Favreau Thunderdome, right? So now you could film everything in a room, and Star Wars is now much more, manageable. So I think that there is something to be said for doing aerial shots, flying over the island and all that stuff. It sets like Octo is fantastic. This everything about it is wonderful.
I love that those puppeteers were locked in there.
Yeah.
Did you see that part that they're like?
I did not.
Not only were there 2 guys in there, but like they couldn't. Basically, they had to they molded the puppet against a 3D scan they did of those rocks and just sealed it. They had to seal it on there and bolt it on there basically exactly. And so there was no once they were in there for the day, and they could not come back out. No matter what, they're just locked in there for all day for the whole shoot.
Good. Like I'm listening to 2 of you. Like 2 of you are trying to tear this down.
No. I think that's amazing.
That is why this scene where all of that investment, Rian Johnson knows, and if you get Rian Johnson, and you're sitting there and you're like, listen, Ryan.
All right. Well, let me. So
he would be like, this is the linchpin scene of the entire thing.
Right. But okay.
Right.
Like I said, I love the shot itself. It's just a crazy. I admire their dedication for putting that much hard work into getting it exactly right when they easily could have funded probably 3 other movies with just how much they cost to make the puppet things.
Well, I mean, essentially they did because right, doing this allowed them to do Knives Out. So
right.
In a sense, in a way.
Last factoid, if you are a fan of the milk, you can go to Galaxy's Edge, where you'll find at the Boobawamba milk store at the Galaxy's Edge, you can buy green or blue milk. So,
do they sell it as Thala, Siren, Sow milk?
It's just called blue milk or green milk. But as we recommended, you get a blue and get a green, mix them together. It's a Sebulba. It's like the Space Arnold Palmer.
No alcohol though, right? That's the
right.
For the Sebulba.
I don't know. I didn't notice.
That's a virgin Sebulba.
A virgin Sebulba.
Yeah, If you put alcohol in it, it's called a hard Sebulba.
Question for you, Pete. Does this monster count as a tentacle monster? Because you know the one thing of the Disney era, they love their tentacle monsters. So
No. This doesn't have tentacles. It's got some flippers. No tentacles.
Right. I don't know if.
No.
No. Definitely flipper. The I wanted to shout out the there's an artist. I wrote his name down. Mike Strick. He's an artist. He does among other things, he does sculptures. And he did a fantastic sculpture of the Thala Sea Siren wearing the Slave Leia outfit.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
One little detail I noticed is that Luke put his glove on. You know, in that opening scene where he's grabbing the lightsaber, he had his metal hand out, which to me sort of implied that he had his metal hand out all the time. But
his metal hand is out all the time, but he put his glove on here because if you, that's the attention to detail. If you get Thala Siren Sow milk on a robot hand, you're never getting that out.
That really seems like tempting fate. Out of all the animals to put there, it just happens to be the one that results in electrocution.
Or I think, he's got company.
It's like a Jedi
he's
lesson
there's
there.
people here. Let me put on my glove.
Right.
Or that's his milking glove.
It's his,
milking glove. I see. Yeah.
I mean, maybe the Thala Siren teat is sensitive and the metal is cold to the touch.
Or maybe it's poisonous, and if he doesn't wear that, he'll have itchy bumps on his hand. Oh, no, wait, that's his other hand.
Yeah.
Was it his other hand?
I wanted to double check to see which hand it is that he uses to.
Let me actually move it over just a bit.
But while you're doing that, I wanted to also point. I'm pointing everybody to all kinds of ancillary materials, but there's also I fell for it for a couple of minutes, maybe a minute or two, but there's a Nerdist video, April Fool's video from Nerdist, which is like a behind-the-scenes making of this, and it's they mixed kind of
true or it's fake.
No, it's fake because they mixed in real kind of behind the scenes Star Wars footage with this guy, and he's like the designer, and he's got this like long like row of sculpted teats that like he's like, and at first we weren't sure what did we want to go with more of like a melon shape or like is it, and they go through this whole thing about like creating the sea siren. So it's funny, and it took me a minute to realize it was a joke.
That's awesome. So it's a lot of focus on different types of teats.
It's
space teats.
Space teat Nerdist. It's a good stuff. I like as we said, Luke's look, the sea siren's look, that like kind of
like that kind of like put upon like. And they look like they're like, oh God, I've just been sitting here all day.
And that was like again, they did. Oh, now was this in the real thing or was this in the was in the goofy the Nerdist thing? They went for that intentionally to look more like a lounging creature. That they're serene kind of these
peaceful.
These
like you want some
sirens
of this, you
don't have a care in the world.
I don't care.
They're just hanging out.
Do. That's it.
I've just been handed an update. Luke milks a creature with his bare left hand and holds his sports mug with his right gloved hand.
So there goes that.
So you can touch them with your bare hands. In fact, some ways it's really the only way to do it. And but maybe you're right though. He can't get his hand wet from all the milk that's going to cascade and drip slowly down his hand.
Yeah,
right.
It may be very sticky.
Yeah.
Make green butter.
I do like the detail of the sea spray shooting out of the nose. Nice little effect there with
great.
Sea spray, the transformer.
Okay, now here's the other thing. So he goes and he drinks and he chugs this milk and he does it in a very kind of like surprising way. And Rey is like, and I'm like, who are you to judge? You've lived in like garbage for like your 18 years. You eat portion bread. And like, you're gonna tell me portion bread is a lot more delicious and less like disgusting looking than fresh milk from a Thala Siren sow teat? Sorry
I
for
think it was
cursing.
more that he didn't let her go first because he's a lady. He just drank it. He didn't say, "Oh, here, would you like some?" I think.
Man, I should say, Luke Skywalker.
My word, you have the manners of a womp rat.
That's race. That's the thing. Like that was all the clues. Like she's the only one that ever has an English accent. Who's her lineage? Well, I must say, Luke Skywalker.
I think, she's so, like, they don't have, farms or anything on Jakku, I'm assuming. So everything is so distant from the source. It's like,
but she's she's eating like, sandworms and rot grubs and
no, I think she's just eating just purely stuff that she's trading for and not like, and it's all so far removed, so processed and so far removed from its original source.
I like the idea that she's been living on these portions for her whole life. So anytime she sees anyone eat anything, whether it's like a hamburger or a banana, she's like, "Oh my god!
Why would you eat that?
They're dates. You eat them."
The only thing she's eating is heavily processed food, just like her grandfather. She's just like, more portion bread, please. Blue for flavor, please.
That's why Palpatine wanted her only eating like the most preservative.
It's like, if we leave her on Jakku, the only thing available for her is heavily processed food. Exactly what a young girl needs to grow up big and strong.
Have you ever heard the benefits of living on portion bread?
Portion bread. And who would be the ones that make portion bread? It would be like, from the makers of Lunchables, it's portion bread. Yeah.
The Techno Union.
Yeah, Techno Union portion bread.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
It's delicious. So yeah, she's definitely just a chip off the old block with her taste. Oh God!
Like he intentionally every once in a while is like, why does the Emperor keep sending a freighter of blue raspberry high
portion bread
to Jakku?
So and then like imagine like, and then there's like the alternate timeline where Palpatine was a presence in his granddaughter's life, and every time she'd go to her grandpa's house, he'd be like, "Would you like some portion bread?" "Oh, Grandpa's gonna make me portion bread."
That was, I couldn't eat, like Lucky Charms or anything at my house. It was just my grandparents would get it for me because they didn't. They were like, they would get the, that's exactly this.
She was like, "I
being an
want
indulgent
to go."
grandpa.
She's like, "Killing Eve, please take me to Grandpa's house. I can't wait. I get to eat whatever I want." And then she gets
so in the
there.
Hansel and Gretel story,
It's like, "Mom's going out. There's some portion bread made for you, my lovely granddaughter.
Would you care for some marshmallow peeps?"
He lives in a house made out of portions, like the witch in the Hansel and Gretel. It's like, instead of a candy house, it's made out of portions.
If you finish all your portion bread, you could have some tofu tea when you're done.
No, it's totally the opposite. It's like whatever, like you could have like Dippin' Dots or whatever.
Right. It would be Dippin' Dots. Tofu tea is all natural.
Yeah.
Like Frookies.
Well, that's all I have for.
What about the
22?
droid attack on the Frookies? Yeah, that's made. Oh, one thing that
attack on the droids love to eat cookies sweetened by fresh fruit, like Cookie Monster.
The one thing that we didn't mention, it crosses over both of these minutes, but at the end of yesterday's minute and the beginning of today's, we have the bigger fish in the background.
Oh, it's so good.
The nice little kind of like the spine of that sea creature going by, which is a nice little touch.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Well, then, okay, so now a question, right? So Luke goes to Ahch-To, and he's like, "I'm done with it. I hate everybody. Just the worst." And he shuts himself out from the Force, right? He turns the Force off inside him.
Essentially, he's lost touch with the
up?
Force. No, yeah, he's lost touch with the Force somehow. We haven't figured out how yet, but
they drifted apart. They see each other on Facebook every now and then, but you know how it is.
So that's it. So he's no longer using the Force. So some of these things that he does is remarkable, right? So he's like, so first of all, taming a Thala sea siren sow, that takes some practice and some skill. Wild animals don't just let you come up to them and honk on them. But then, like, not only is he like, all right, let's go get some fish. It's spear pole fish
that's tomorrow, the spear pole.
Oh, okay. So it's just them walking around.
But the one behind him that goes like, breaches in the water behind them, kind of almost like the thing that eats R2, where it's like, and you just see the back of it as it goes by off the coast of the island.
I don't even know what you're talking about. There's a thing I missed in the background of this minute. I'm just too busy looking at them chug milk.
You go watch it. We'll call it. Can you go? Can you come back tomorrow after you watch that?
I will. I'm gonna go watch that now.
Watch that episode of Fish, and then we will reconvene here tomorrow. Listeners, if you want to tell us exactly what that name of that catalog was that yesterday or was that today? Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah.
Please tweet at us at Star Wars Minute, or take a picture of it, put it on Instagram at the Star Wars Minute, and we will be anxiously awaiting your feedback there. And we'll anxiously be awaiting a new episode tomorrow of Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.